Classrooms all vary in their own special ways. Each has its little idiosyncrasies, a drop in energy at 1 p.m., rowdiness at 9 a.m., and everything in between. One thing these classrooms do have in common, however, is that the educator wants their students to connect to the material being taught and develop a passion for learning, perhaps not in every subject, but at least one. So, how can educators hold the attention of their students and spark more interest in a topic? How about using something that students enjoy outside of class, do in their free time, and share with their peers? Games. Games are a very useful tool for teaching. Consider any video game, card game, or board game that you have ever played. In some capacity, to play the game, you had to solve a problem. For instance, in the classic game Tetris, you have to quickly decide where to put the falling blocks so that it takes up minimal space. You are solving the problem of the pieces taking up too much room if they are allowed to fall randomly. In a more complex game, like the Legend of Zelda games, the player has to solve slide puzzles, figure out how to open locked doors, answer riddles, and find objects, all to solve smaller problems within the game. These smaller problems lead to the player correcting bigger and bigger problems until they finally encounter the final boss, the biggest problem in the game. All of the small problems before help prepare the player to solve the bigger ones. Holistic problem solving is not only useful in games, it is a part of everyday life, and teaching students how to think critically while learning a game system is invaluable and something students won't get from a lecture-based class. Games also help immerse students into the subject. Which is more interesting, hearing a lecture about blood typing, or getting to do it yourself in a virtual emergency room? Being a part of the situation makes it more real and exciting. Finally, games are collaborative. Even in single-player games, people tend to share experiences with peers and swap techniques. And in multiplayer, players get the chance to work as a team to solve problems while progressing in the game. In games, each player will have a different experience, unlike a typical lesson where every student learns the same script. For the purpose of this presentation, I will discuss games in a middle school classroom, focus on English education, literature, and grammar. The first example is IXL.com. The site has a plethora of grammar games for all ages and skill levels. Just look at all the different games for 8th graders. Great for targeting parts of grammar that different students may be struggling with. These games are the perfect example of learning a system while learning problem solving within grammar. I chose the semicolon game because I remember as an 8th grader never being able to wrap my mind around them. By playing these small games about different grammar problems, students are not only solving the problem, they are also learning the greater system of the English language, which is, let's face it, a little complicated sometimes. This game also lets students practice in a low-risk setting. Unlike homework assignments, where they get feedback after completing the assignment, students get instant feedback and can start learning how to correct their errors. It's also a low-risk setting where students can make mistakes and not be under the scrutiny of their fellow students. Who doesn't have flashbacks of sweaty palms while doing example problems in front of the class? By playing these games, students can build confidence in different areas and do so in a relaxed setting. The next game is a very simple game, but helpful in a way similar to the IXL.com games. The game is a part of FreeRice.com, an organization that brings rice to impoverished countries. The game is a vocabulary-based game. You choose the best fitted synonym for the word provided. Every word right is 10 grains of rice donated to the cause. So while students expand their vocabulary, they are also participating in civic engagement. Pretty cool, right? The site has a huge variety of skill levels, so each student can choose the one that best suits them, or play from the beginning and let the game determine their skill level after the student plays for a while. It's very simple problem solving, but it's a way to immerse students into a huge vat of vocabulary. The next serious game is based off of the famous and often curriculum-based novel Lord of the Flies. It is found on lordalfred.com. The game is similar to a pen and paper role-playing game, in that each group has a sheet to keep track of items and players, but it is far more simple, a benefit since it is intended to immerse students in the setting, not distract them with dice rolls and number crunching. Students become a part of the story, collecting food, hunting, revolting, and seeking shelter. Each round there is an act of God, and morale goes up and down throughout the game. Students play as teams, learn the system of the game, and start to understand what the boys went through in Golding's book. This game is a neat way of getting students interested in the story. It is a collaborative space where they decide what they should do with their turns, and they truly become characters in the story. The best kind of immersion. The game also is a large part collaborative problem solving. If the team is losing morale points quickly, they have to decide what their best route of action is, and what each team member should be doing in order to save their fire, find food, and create shelter. If students had trouble connecting to the novel before, this will certainly help them feel more of a connection to the story. All of these games have different but helpful components for teaching middle school students. They all teach problem solving for grammar, vocab, and group strategy, respectively. They help give students a low-risk learning environment while they can get a quick feedback which can help them correct their errors. They also have the advantage of immersing students into the specific subject and help them become more comfortable and intrigued by English grammar and literature, which is a worthy goal of any educator. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Please check out these different websites and consider introducing game-based learning into your classroom.